What's up, guys? Sci-Fi Guy 2094 here, and I have a message for you. Do not go see Supergirl this weekend without first watching Legion of Superheroes. Legion of Superheroes is the Tomorrowverse film that has Supergirl, Superman, Batman, and basically she is having trouble controlling her powers, and she's kind of like a danger. She's like a loose cannon. And Batman is telling Superman, like, yeah, something's gotta give because it's not working out having Kara here. She's kind of dangerous. And Superman is like, okay, let me talk to her. And it's kind of strange in a way because technically Cal is younger than Kara, but he was on Earth. He came to Earth obviously before she did, and he kind of was adopted and saw how Earth was, whereas she came way later. And it's explained obviously, like if you just watch the first episode of the Supergirl series in the CW, which is the Arrowverse, she basically just says, before Krypton's destruction, her rocket was sent off of Krypton as well as Cal's, and they were both headed to Earth. She was probably like a preteen or like a teenager, and they were supposed to crash on Earth together, and she was going to be his protector and just raise him. Unfortunately, her spaceship veered off course, and she got she arrived way later than she was supposed to. So Cal, obviously we all know, landed on Earth and was raised by the Kents. And Kara, when she arrived on Earth, Cal was basically all grown up. And so she wasn't really there to raise her baby cousin. But anyway, it's kind of explained in this movie as well. We actually see kind of her training and what her life was like on Krypton before it met its demise. And, her mother was kind of like training her to be like kind of a good leader and lead Krypton in a good direction. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And, once she gets to Earth, she misses Krypton. She thinks Earth is like an S-hole, basically. She doesn't like it. She doesn't fit in. She thinks this world is so backwards, and she just wishes Krypton was still here, and it's something she can never go back to. All she has is the memories. She has it kind of harder than Superman. Superman was just raised on Earth by his parents, Martha and Jonathan Kent. He had no memory of Krypton. Whereas Kara was, she had a good memory of her life on Krypton. So she kind of has a rough time adjusting to life on Earth. And Batman is just like, your cousin has failed to control her powers. She is too dangerous. And Superman talks to her, and he basically kind of helps her out. And he has this little orb, which can open a parallel timeline to the 31st century. And that's it. It can just go back and forth between these two timelines. So he takes her there. He basically just like drops her off. And, she goes to this academy where she can kind of train to use her powers better and work as a team alongside other people that are becoming heroes. Her first encounter is with like Brainiac 5, and she thinks he's a villain. So she attacks him, but he's just like a student here. And, throughout this movie, she does not trust this guy because, of course, she only knows Brainiac as a villain. And, in many different storylines, Brainiac has a miniaturized version of her city of, I believe it's called Kandor, which was a city on Krypton, which I think her family was from. And he has this shrink ray, and, the city is just very microscopic, and he can observe the Kryptonians and, whatever. But nobody knows how to reverse it because nobody's as smart as Brainiac, right? He's got like a 5th level intellect he's always bragging about. But yeah, he's basically the most intelligent person in the entire DC universe. And most of the times in the stories, nobody knows how to reverse his shrinking ray. But anyway, she sees Brainiac as a villain, but he's just like a student there. The teachers and faculty are like, no, that's just Brainiac. He's awesome. He's like one of the best students. And she's very untrustworthy, or she's untrusting rather, of Brainiac 5. Is she right to be untrusting of him? You're going to have to find that out by watching Legion of Superheroes. But it's a very good kind of deep dive into Kara and who she is. And, she's that rebellious young teen girl, American teen girl in a way. But, she has all those qualities, but except she's an alien. So, yeah. I always liked Supergirl in the animated series. She was always, like I said, rebellious. She was just, man, she was like hot headed, and, she'd rush into things without necessarily thinking. And Superman would always try to, make sure people are safe, make sure she's thinking before she just rushes in. But, that's kind of the nature of a teen girl, with godlike powers, so to speak. So, Supergirl has always been, obviously, she's like a staple in American comics, as far as like DC Comics, Superman comics, with Superman being obviously the godfather of all superheroes. Strangely enough, Supergirl hasn't been super popular as opposed to like Batman and I'd say Wonder Woman. You'd think Supergirl would be the most popular female hero, seeing that she's the counterpart to Superman, but no, it's Wonder Woman. I never thought about that, but it's kind of weird now that I think about it. But anyway, Supergirl's good. She's a good kid at heart. She really is. So that's my recommendation. Watch Legion of Superheroes before watching Supergirl this weekend. Great story in this movie. It's got good action, and yeah, her little teammates that are at the academy, they're all pretty good characters as well. So, and there's a kind of a twist in this movie that you will not see coming if you haven't seen this. But anyway, that's just my recommendation. Watch Legion of Superheroes before going to see Supergirl this weekend, and let me know what you think of this movie if you've seen it, and then comment if you're excited for Supergirl, or are you going to pass, or you're just on the fence about it. All right, we'll have a discussion in the comments down below, and let me know what you think.